In this video, I'm going to talk you through 15 ways to lose weight fast. Now, each of these ways works best when you combine it with another way to formulate a custom weight loss plan that works perfectly for you. Now, the first way, of course, is to develop the right mindset. That's very important before you embark on your weight loss program. You want to stay positive. And you want to be realistic. Don't expect too much too soon. You also want to think of how much better your life will be once you've lost the weight, rather than focusing on the discomfort of losing it. It's going to be hard. You're going to have a hard time. You're going to feel hungry. You're going to have to change, lots of different things that you've done in your life to try and shed this weight. But think about how much better your life's going to be once you've done that. And the hardship that you're having to go through is going to be much more bearable. The second thing to do is to write down everything that you eat or drink during the day. And when I say everything, I mean everything. Even if it's a splash of cream in your coffee, you want to write it down. You don't need to count calories at this stage. In fact, a lot of people think that counting calories is quite frankly a waste of time. But what you do want to do is you want to make sure that you count everything that you eat and everything that you drink. And the reason to do that is because you'll soon see what high-calorie foods are sneaking in and sabotaging your weight loss efforts. You'll find that, even if you have a snack or something during the day, it might be a high-calorie one. So once you've written it all down, every single thing, then you'll have a better idea of what your current eating regime is like. And of course, later on, when you've finished your weight loss program, when you're down to the weight that you want to be, you'll know exactly what to avoid in order to stop putting the weight back on. So there's two parts to this. Thirdly, you want to look for healthy alternatives for foods that are high in sugar, salt, or carbohydrates. And there are lots of foods that we eat today, particularly in Western countries, that have a lot of sugar, salt, or carbohydrates. Lots of things put in to preserve them, lots of things made to make us want more of them. One thing that you can do that's very easy is to drink carbonated water instead of soft drinks. And if you think about it, most soft drinks are drunk cold. And the cold kills all the flavor anyway, so all you're being able to taste is sugar and fizz. Well, you can do away with the sugar and keep the fizz by just drinking carbonated water. There are lots of different brands out there. Some just taste like spring water with bubbles. Others have a sort of a soda-y taste to them, which some people like. So try a few and decide which one you like, and then drink that instead of a soft drink whenever you're thirsty. Another thing to do is to have a piece of fresh fruit for a snack instead of a candy bar or chips. Candy, chips, they've all got lots of starch in them. Candy in particular has lots of sugar in them. There's things like corn syrup and other things that make you pile on the weight. So if you have a piece of fresh fruit, even though it may have sugar in it, naturally occurring sugar, it's actually better for you than what some people would consider to be junk food. And you should also drink your tea or coffee black without sugar. I know it does take a bit of getting used to, but the thing is, once you get used to drinking your tea or coffee black without sugar, you'll find there's no way to go back to it otherwise. You find that it just tastes too sweet and sickly. And if you put cream in your coffee or milk in your tea, there's milk sugars in that, which again are not particularly conducive to helping you lose weight. And if you use some of that non-dairy creamer that is very popular in some countries, you'll find that there's a lot of artificial stuff in that. Read the label on the back of the tin and trust me, you'll never want to use it again. So drink your tea or coffee black without sugar and you'll be able to lose some of the weight. A good way to lose weight is, of course, to eat smaller portions. And one way to make sure that you're eating smaller portions is to use smaller plates. It's ingrained in a lot of us from when we're children. maybe by our parents or maybe at school, that you have to eat everything on your plate. You've got to clear your plate before you can have any dessert. That's how it was when I was at school anyway. And of course, we get used to having large portions that fill the plate, and we get used to eating all of it. So if you have a smaller plate, if you were to say have the plate at the top of the stack that's shown in this picture rather than the one at the bottom, you're only going to be having about 2/3 of the amount of food that you'd be having if you had one of the larger plates. And once you've eaten all that, you're going to feel satisfied because you've eaten a full meal. And once you've cleared your plate, then of course you can have some dessert, although a low-calorie one, obviously. Something else that you should do is to make your own meals instead of relying on TV dinners and other packaged foods. And the reason for this is food manufacturers add salt and sugar to almost everything to make us want more and more. This is particularly true if you buy a packaged sandwich at lunchtime. You'll find that the company that makes the sandwiches tends to put lots of stuff on it to keep the bread moist. So they'll put lots of mayonnaise and other stuff onto the bread to keep it moist until it gets sold. Well, that's all very good for them because it obviously keeps their profits up, but it's not very healthy for you if you're trying to lose weight because there's lots of salt and fat and all sorts of other things that you really don't need if you're trying to lose weight. So if you make your own meals, if you make your own sandwiches, then it's going to be much healthier because you can control exactly what goes into them. And you should cut your fat intake in half. Now, since you're not eating packaged foods anymore, it's relatively easy to do this. Measure the oil that you use for cooking and only use half as much as you were before. And you want to spread butter or margarine very thinly. Don't just slather the butter on the bread. Make sure that it's spread nice and thin so that you only eat half as much as you did before. You should also drink low-fat milk. If you have a breakfast cereal that you put milk on, have low-fat milk rather than full cream milk because obviously, as the name would imply, it's lower in fat. And finally, cut the visible fat off of meat before cooking and don't eat the skin because obviously there's lots of fat there that you really don't need. One technique that I used successfully was to buy a smaller sized pair of jeans. If you go out and buy yourself a pair of jeans that's a size smaller than the size that you're wearing, or maybe the sort of size that you want to slim down to, and then try and put them on. Well, obviously, when you first start wearing them or trying to wear them, they won't fit. You won't be able to do them up. But as time goes by, as the weight starts to fall off, you'll be able to see your progress more easily because that button and the buttonhole will get closer and closer and closer until the day will arrive when you can take a deep breath and join the jeans up. And for once, you can actually wear this new pair of jeans. And then you'll find that as your weight starts to decrease even more, these jeans become more and more comfortable, and finally the day arrives when they're comfortable enough for you to go out in public and wear them. And this gives you a great incentive to lose the weight. So if you try them on, say, once a week, you'll be able to more easily see how you're progressing in your weight loss than you are, if you simply stand on a scale and write down the number. This actually gives you a psychological reference to how much weight you're losing. Something else you should do is include at least 2 servings of vegetables in every main meal, and that's not counting potatoes, or you should add a large salad with a low-fat dressing. You should aim to eat more green leafy vegetables because they're not very high in calories, and in some leafy green foods your body actually uses up more energy digesting the meal than you're going to actually get out of the nutritional value of the food. So that means that you do actually lose weight that way. And fresh vegetables will help you to feel full, and they're going to satisfy your body's needs for vitamins and minerals thereby reducing cravings. You should also limit your sugar intake. Have sweet treats containing sugar no more than 3 times a week. Now, if you're a sugar addict, you may find this difficult at first, but you'll soon have much more appreciation for the sweetness in fruits and vegetables, and fast weight loss may be your reward. And once you stop eating a lot of artificial sugar, once you stop having a candy bar at lunchtime and have a piece of fruit instead, you're actually going to find that the type of sugar that's in the fruit, the unrefined natural sugar, is actually a lot more tasty than the artificially refined stuff that you find in chocolate and other sweets. And you should indulge yourself with plenty of fresh fruit, like I was just saying earlier. Things like grapes, cherries, berries, apples, mangoes, and bananas are delicious replacements for the unhealthy desserts that most of us eat. And make sure that it's fresh fruit, not out of a tin can, because, again, they add lots of sugar into the syrup to act as a preservative so that it'll last longer, to increase its shelf life. So go down to your local farmer's market and get some nice ripe fruit that's in season, and you'll be much better off. You should also try grated carrot for a snack. And you can mix that with a chopped apple if you want. Grated carrot takes longer to eat than whole carrot, and because of this, it's much more satisfying. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a picture of grated carrots, so we've got whole carrots to illustrate this point. But if you have it grated, then it's going to take you longer to eat it, and you'll feel full sooner. And you want to choose food that you can chew, and you should eat it slowly, putting down your fork between bites. And this is because it takes time for your brain to register that you're full. So once you're slowing down, you're going to start to feel full sooner, because quite often when we eat quickly, what happens is by the time our brains have registered that we're full, we're already eating something else, something that we don't need. And so your body then lays that down as fat reserves. Well, you don't want to do that if you're losing weight. So if you eat slowly and you put your fork down between bites and you take the time to chew your food, then you'll find that you feel full much more quickly, and therefore you're not going to eat quite so much. And you should go for brown rice instead of white, whole fruit instead of juice, and have chunks of whole foods in your soup, because, again, you're going to take the time to chew this through and you're going to feel full sooner. The added fiber is going to fill you up, and it's going to help the body to eliminate waste. And as I was just saying, the act of chewing will make you feel more satisfied with your meal. You should also plan your meals and your shopping. You want to think ahead and make a list of what you're going to need and then stick to it. Don't be enticed by the stuff they're going to have on end caps in supermarkets to try and make you buy something that you don't want. Just buy what's on your list. Don't fall in for any impulse buys. And you should never go food shopping when you're hungry, because, again, you're going to want to eat something there and then. And supermarkets, they sort of play mind games with you sometimes. That's why when you go in, you can smell the bread baking and you can smell the fresh coffee in some supermarkets, because they want you to feel hungry so that you'll go and buy more food. Well, of course, when you want to lose weight, that's the last thing you want to do. So don't go food shopping when you're hungry, and then food just becomes another commodity. Something else you should do is to take regular exercise. And not only does this help you lose weight, but it also makes you more fit. And the best thing to do is to go for a walk. Go for a walk in your local park. Go for a walk around your shopping mall if it's not a safe neighborhood where you live. Go for a walk with your friends. Or what else you can do is to park your car in the furthest part of the lot, the parking lot, car park, and then walk the rest of the way to your workplace. Obviously, if you work in a bad neighborhood and you're likely to get mugged on the way back from your car to your office, then that's not a good idea. But for most people, if you park your car far away rather than right next to the door, you're going to get a bit more exercise than you would do. Something else you can do is to use the stairs instead of a lift or elevator. And also take up bike riding. Bike riding is actually very healthy, and lots of places have bike trails where you can ride away from traffic. And you can also join a gym or a health club, and that way you can get lots of exercise in a safe environment. Something else to do is to eat everything off a plate while seated at a table. Even if you're just making yourself a snack, sit down at the table, eat it off a plate, because the whole act of doing it that way is going to burn it into your brain that you're actually eating something, that you're having a meal, that you're not, sometimes when we eat things, when we're snacking, when we're doing something else at the same time as we're eating, we can sometimes lose track of the fact that we are actually eating. But when you have a proper sit down, eating your food off a plate, it's going to make your brain think, yes, this is a meal I'm eating. And you're going to remember that you've eaten this. So this can help you keep track of how much you're eating, and you can then cut out snacking in between meals. And it's a very good way to do that. And as I was just saying, you shouldn't eat while you're doing something else at the same time. So don't eat while you're watching TV, while you're driving, while you're reading, while you're checking email. It's very easy to simply reach over and have another chocolate while you're reading, or it's very easy to take a sip of that soft drink while you're driving along, or have another beer while you're watching TV. So don't eat or drink while you're doing something else at the same time. And if you eat with others, try to avoid bringing up heavy or contentious subjects at meal times. Arguments are not good for anyone's digestion, and it won't help your fast weight loss, because if it puts you off your meal, then you're going to feel hungry later on, and you're going to feel the need to have a snack. And snacking is the number one enemy of weight loss, because you don't really keep track of what you're doing. So there you go. 15 ways that you can lose weight fast. And as I was saying at the beginning of the video, combine them together any way you like to create your own customized weight loss program.